He's trying to force a terrible bill down the throats of the American people. He's got secret police trying to capture people off the streets.
Secret police?
Why would
what are you talking about?
Why in the world does he need to bully and intimidate people?
Wait,
why can't he
convince
people? What happened to using the powers of persuasion of the president? Is he able to do that, or does he only have the ability to bully people?
I'm hung up on the secret police. Who are the secret police?
The masked people who are grabbing 75-year-old grandmothers and folks like that off the street. I hope you don't encounter them.
You mean the ICE agents who are out enforcing federal immigration law and are in danger of being
who are not announcing themselves and who are being doxxed?
Yeah. So, okay, secret police. Look.
What's happening, everybody? Happy 4th of July. I hope you're spending it with your family and friends and finding some time to relax. I'm so glad I get to spend it with you here today, so let's get to it. Welcome to yesterday's news channel where we watch CNN so you don't have to. Scott Jennings was back on NewsNight with Abby Phillip on Thursday, and as usual, Scott Jennings brought logic, composure, and facts to a panel powered entirely by vibes and talking points. In the clips we're about to watch, the panel debates Trump's move to withhold federal funds from non-compliant states and universities, and the effects, if any, of the cuts to USAID, which, according to CNN now, will trigger global Armageddon within the next 72 hours. But between you, me, and the fence post, I'm a little skeptical. Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings literally, not figuratively, laugh out loud at the circus of crazy people surrounding him. Let's go.
Was a sort of pay-to-play kind of deal. And the transparent way in which the Trump administration has basically said, if this doesn't get settled, no deal, I'm not really sure how that flies in this country.
It's just a really dangerous precedent. And, I guess what's interesting to me, and I'd be curious what my Republican friends think about this, why does he have to bully and intimidate everyone? Are his ideas just that bad? I mean, he's an unpopular president. We know that historically at this rate. He has an unpopular agenda. He's trying to force a terrible bill down the throats of the American people. He's got secret police trying to capture people off the streets.
Secret police?
What are
you talking about?
Why in the world does he need to bully and intimidate people? Why can't he convince people? What happened to using the powers of persuasion of the president? Is he able to do that, or does he only have the ability to bully people?
I'm hung up on the secret police. Who are the secret police?
The masked people who are grabbing 75-year-old grandmothers
and
folks like that off the street. I hope you don't encounter them.
You mean the ICE agents who are out enforcing federal immigration law and are in danger of being
who are not announcing themselves and
in
who
danger
are
of being
doxxed?
Yeah. So, okay, secret police. Look, he has ideas, he has opinions, and he has influence because he's the President of the United States. You mentioned the Mamdani situation. He's out promising as part of his campaign platform to actively stop federal agents from enforcing federal law in New York City.
No.
Why wouldn't the president talk about federal funding
just to
for
be
New
clear,
York City?
he is saying that New York City's law enforcement will not cooperate with ICE, which is not a new policy, just to be clear.
Why is that a good thing? Do you agree with that?
Should he get
Scott, I don't have to agree with it just to tell you what the facts are.
The facts are
it's
they
not a new
want
policy
federal law
in New York.
enforced in New York.
It's also not a new policy in all the
Why
other
isn't
parts
the
of the
mayor of
country
New
where
York
that's
City
the case.
saying, Mr. President, we'll help you?
Here's the thing.
Enforce federal
There are
law.
reasons. You don't have to agree with it. Many people have debated this. I think it's debatable. The argument that they make is that when they allow law enforcement locally to do their jobs without immigrants fearing deportation or that they would be handed over to the feds, law enforcement is able to more effectively combat crime. That's the argument.
Here's what I hear. That you have someone who may well be the next mayor of New York City who's openly saying out loud, I don't want federal laws enforced in New York. So the setup for this piece was, what's Donald Trump doing with these situations? What he's saying in New York City is, why would I continue to fund a city who won't even enforce federal law or help me enforce federal law? They're being violated every day.
You think he should arrest that person? That public official? Public official? You think he should arrest a public official because he disagrees with his policy?
I think if someone is actively violating federal law, they're in trouble, just like that congresswoman who violated federal law at the ICE facility.
So Trump, speaking of Mamdani, they are providing a service, okay? So they are being paid for their work. So it's not like charity like they're doing
But
cancer
when does
research.
anybody that receives taxpayer funding suddenly that, oh, you're off limits? So you got anti-Semitism going on your campus, or you don't allow and you run off every single conservative, or you allow every conservative speaker for 10 years to get run off your campus and
away
say,
from
oh,
cancer patients.
we'll fix it next time. We'll change it next
So
time.
it's okay to take cancer research away from cancer patients because of
I'm
this?
Why don't they use their endowment if it's that important? Why, if
Because
it's
they
that
can't.
important, why don't they use their endowment?
I'm just saying.
This is a really
It's a
important
matter of
point.
life and death.
It's
Why don't they
not
dip
just-
into their
it's not just
55
Harvard.
billion?
They've actually cut research for cancer in universities across the country. But the issue here is, why is it okay? I'm sure. I think it's a.
Why
great
is it
question.
okay to violate the
Why
civil
should
rights of mass
It's
numbers?
wrong.
Exactly.
It's absolutely wrong.
Okay,
they
and
should
that's what
use
the
a
president's
civil rights
argument is.
violation.
You're
But you
violating their
shouldn't-
civil rights.
Okay.
Right. You need to pay attention to what we're saying here. You can't take tax dollars if you're going to violate the civil rights of these students. I'm
you're
standing up.
okay with
Exactly right.
like the fact that we are going to be farther away from cures for dementia, for Alzheimer's, because the president's
That's your
whims
excuse
here.
for civil rights violations?
I'm saying
well,
that no
we'll have to
university-
accept some
nobody's ever
anti-Semitism.
done
I'm sorry, just one second, because I think this.
There were so many dumb things said there. This could be an hour-long video. Okay, first of all, how about the guy that said, we know Donald Trump's an unpopular president? We do? Based on what? Your CNN group chats? I don't know what planet this guy is living on, but even now, battleground polling shows Trump with positive approval in key states like Arizona, Texas, and Michigan. Like right now, long after being elected. So if that's unpopular, what word would we have used for Biden? One thing really caught my attention, though, is this one framing of this question by Abby when she was asking Scott about Trump withholding federal funds from universities and states. She was framing the entire thing as pay to play. For those of you who aren't that familiar with Abby Phillip, let me translate what she was trying to say. Follow federal law and you get your federal funds. That's not like a mobster shakedown, Abby. That's literally how a functioning government works. And now when she said that, we're still in the middle of her question. She hasn't finished her question with her 19-minute framing preface. But then she doubles down at the very end of her monologue and says, it's like Trump saying, if this doesn't get settled, no deal. Which again, translating means states must comply with federal law or they won't get their billions that they'll waste and give to their buddies and their NGOs. I mean, that's completely reasonable. But CNN twists it to make Trump look like some dictator holding America hostage. Back to it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's something called proportionality, okay? And it's like you want to just use a sledgehammer for every single problem when there are ways that they can address anti-Semitism, civil rights violations by addressing those issues. They were talking to Harvard before somebody in the Trump administration sent a letter that wasn't approved, threatening them and blowing this whole thing up. So I guess the idea that there's only one way to deal with this, and that is to basically jeopardize all of America's scientific research for the next God knows how many years, decade or more, that is a completely disingenuous argument. There are other ways, Scott, that do not diminish the importance of battling anti-Semitism, but that address that issue and don't punish the rest of the country.
Also,
What other ways?
Why would
It's
you?
the only
why
language
would you-
universities
But
understand
why?
is money.
But why would you punish the rest of the country? The woman in Iowa,
They're
whose
not
mother,
punishing. If the universities
hold
would
on.
just say
The
yes.
woman,
No,
the
they
woman
are
in
being
Iowa whose mother is dying of cancer and needs an experimental cure. Why should she be punished
Yeah.
for an issue that could have been dealt with in a more targeted way?
Why can't the universities just say yes? You're mad at Donald
Why
Trump.
can't-
Why aren't you mad at the universities for
Because
violating
he's-
civil rights in the
he's
first place?
asking
I would
them to
love
do
I would love an answer to the question. Why is it that the Trump administration refuses to act in a proportional way to the issue at hand? Why?
That's your it's
Why?
your view that it's not
Because,
proportional.
no,
I think civil rights is
This has
important.
been going on.
There's in Africa, sick people around the world, and that is wrong. And maybe we could all agree with that.
Rank cruelty for no real reason.
Scott, I mean, the State Department is bringing in some of these functions, but what's also a result of this is that by tearing it down in the first place, they're now trying to rebuild things that they probably shouldn't have been torn down. That seems pretty wasteful to me, but at the end of the day, what do you think is going to be happening here? Are we really going to pull back from leadership in the world on soft power, leaving millions and millions of people at risk of dying of things that are incredibly preventable, just to say that you did it?
Look, I think a couple of things can be true at the same time. Soft power is a good thing, and it does make a difference when it is deployed correctly and in a smart way. And the president's opinion and Marco Rubio's opinion is that the USAID bureaucracy and the quasi-governmental shadow bureaucracy and these NGOs that had grown up around it were in many cases taking taxpayer dollars and not using it in furtherance of the foreign policy of the current administration. And so what they've tried to do is eliminate the bureaucracy that they think was working at cross purposes with what they believed is best for America and put it directly under the accountable political leadership of the State Department, which in this case is the Secretary of State. No, I don't believe we are fully pulling back on soft power, but there's a difference between smart spending and dumb money, and we have exposed time and again millions upon millions of dollars being spent on programs that everybody at this table would agree sound and are ridiculous.
The last word is that when the next president comes in, who is not a Donald Trump or not a Republican, all those very things that you think are not in furtherance of Donald Trump's policy are not going to be in furtherance of another president's policy. So there are consequences to that too, and maybe you're okay with that.
I am,
but we're going to be slingshotting ideologically from president to president, and that's the structure that's being created here.
You and I are in agreement actually about this. I actually believe that the elected political leadership of this country sets the foreign policy, and our soft power and our military strategy ought to reflect what's in the best interests of the foreign policy on which that president got elected. So if the American people choose a president who want to do foreign aid and soft power a different way, that's fine. But it ought to be up to the politically elected leadership, not the bureaucracy that apparently answers to no one.
I'll check back in with you.
Like I said earlier, there's so much in there, so I have to go all the way back to the first clip we watched and address that idiot next to Scott babbling about Trump bullying and secret police. What? ICE agents enforcing federal immigration law are now secret police. And why do we always go to the 75-year-old grandma? Unless 75-year-old grandmas are getting dragged out of bingo halls en masse, which they're not, then this is just another one of their ridiculous, I mean, not even a good one, but another one of their fear tactics. And I think I've said this before too. You know these stories are fear tactics because if that happened even once, CNN would have looped it for a week straight. Abby's on fire in this one because she dropped this gem. Pulling funds from anti-Semitic universities is disproportionate. Really? Because these are the same folks who say all white people are inherently racist and need systematic reprogramming. So following your logic, shouldn't we be doing everything we can to fight racism? So now you're worried about proportionality? Okay, here's a fun question because I don't know a lot about this stuff. I seem to always be wrong about race and stuff like that. Would they yank federal funds if the targets were Asian students, Muslim students, Did you hear? I almost said Christian students experiencing racism. No one cares about Christian students. Hello, it's like, Earth to Matthew, you know? All right, that was stupid and ill-timed, but this actually kind of is a serious question. So the final piece of this is, what if it was black students that were experiencing racism on those campuses? I think I know the answer, but I really don't know for sure. I'm asking you all sincerely. Let me know in the comments, because this would be a tough one for CNN. If it were black students that were being discriminated against and federal funds were being withheld until the university got that under control, do you think CNN would support Trump withholding funds, or would they stick with this and say you should deal with it proportionally? I don't want anyone to experience racism, so I'm certainly not hoping for a situation like that. But isn't that the ultimate conundrum for CNN? At CNN, you can always count on selective outrage at its finest. Let's wrap this thing up. Once again, Scott Jennings came in prepared, focused, and willing to cut through the emotional grandstanding with facts. The rest of the panel, including Abby, a lot in this episode, weren't even asking honest questions. They were laying traps, spinning nonsense, and trying to make Trump look like a villain for doing things every president before him was expected to do. But we all know that that's the state of the media today. You tell the truth and you're an extremist. But thank God on our country's birthday, there are still a few people left at CNN who haven't completely lost their minds. Okay, one. But what do you guys think? Do you think Abby Phillips is being dishonest when she does stuff like that? Or does she just feel like that's her job as a partisan host? And let that idiot on the panel know how you guys would respond that Donald Trump is an unpopular president. Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. I say it all the time, but thank you all for your support. The channel is really, really on fire, and it's all because of you. I'm blown away that when I ask for you guys' help in supporting the channel, you actually do it. Not because I think you're all a bunch of big jerks or anything, but we're all busy. We all have lives. You guys have stuff to do. So supporting my channel, some stranger on the internet, gives me the drive I need to continually have a desire to improve myself and the show. And I think you're going to be seeing that in the coming months. Thank you guys. Otherwise, as always, thanks for taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. Clearly it means a lot to me. Never forget that Jesus loves you. See you guys.